Simulation will never replace real-world racing, and I don't want it to.
Full Send Sims provides custom-built, top-notch simulators from whatever your budget is. We want to find the best fit for you.
We build rigs for pro drivers where we go and measure their cars, every measurement one-to-one down to the millimeter. You can drive these sims and certify basically to race a car in the real world. Matter of fact, this weekend we have 2 guys that work with FSS that have strictly been sim racing for the last 5 years.
Absolutely did not think a year ago I'd be driving a race car this weekend. However, getting into the simulator, I think it really helped me get on the track and stay competitive.
I've been a sim racing instructor for about 2 years now. The benefit of working with me as a race coach, I'll get you to be a better driver, a lot faster, with a lot less mistakes than you could doing it on your own.
We take the sim building and the sim training as serious as possible. It's not a video game, it's a training tool.
Full Send Sims will offer fully custom-built rigs and delivered and installed into your own home and constant online service. What we offer is world-class, top-notch racing built by a community of racers who enjoy passionate, clean racing.
As we complete the first third of our inaugural season of the new Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Spec MX5 League tonight, we return for the second time to the legendary Sebring International Raceway. For those who ran the season opener here, that means returning for the first time to a track they have already raced in the new SMX machines, a potential big advantage over the newcomers or late starters. And at the 1/3 mark of the season, we have a dead heat for the points lead, and the top 4 are covered by only 6 points. Plus, a resurgent 3-time champ that had to miss 2 full rounds jumped 22 positions in the most recent round, now into the top 10. And tonight, the drivers will test their skills over the myriad bumps of Sebring at night. Hi folks, I'm Greg Kramer along with Kyle Heyer. And Kyle, you know, this track can be downright challenging, obviously in daylight, but at night it can become downright brutal.
Well, there's a lot of people that'll tell you that 12 hours at Sebring is a lot harder on you in the car than 24 at Daytona. But, you know, we talk about the darkness here. There's not a lot of lights around this racetrack. It gets so dark, it's hard to spot your marks. There's some reflectors to help you guide your path. But this racetrack, you know, it's wide, it's inviting in some areas, and it's just going to be hard, flat out hard to see. You got headlights, you got tail lights, but Greg, you're going to be knocking those things out pretty quick early on in these SMX cars. So these 2 20-minute races are going to be a challenge. The first one at dusk, the second one, pretty much the sun is way past the horizon down by sunset then.
Yeah, the interesting thing will be that dusk race, that sun is going to be right in people's eyes in sunset and over into turn 7 in the hairpin. And that can create some serious havoc just with visibility in that scenario. So looking forward to this one. And also, we are really happy I want to jump into this really quickly. We have a new sponsor on board. Of course, Full Send Sims, they have, the visionary Kurt Schmidt creating this league, building these absolutely phenomenal sims and taking this to that level. But tonight, we welcome, and it's a big announcement for us, Sabelt is now one of our presenting sponsors, and they specialize in the development and production of safety equipment for performance road cars, but also really key for motorsports. They've done that for over 5 decades, and they've become known for quality and innovation with vigorous research and development. And here, twice already, they've talked about development. Well, it's because they're the only company in their sector with an internal test lab to perform FIA tests on its products. And that is absolutely huge, and it's huge for them to decide to come on board and support us, along with our other great sponsors that are continuing. Of course, Farah is with us as always, coming on board, and then of course we've got our wonderful sponsors from the very beginning: 3P Logistics, Final Turn Motorsports, and Wine Country Motorsports. So wanted to get that mentioned right away and to welcome Sabel to the fold here. I think they've been pretty intrigued with what's going on here, and they're a great company to be aligned with, Kyle.
Yeah, they certainly are. So we're really stoked to have them on board here. Qualifying already underway, and it's a big field tonight. Well over 30 cars, almost 40 already. And you talk about the challenges of a place like Sebring and how inviting it can be at times, Greg. This is one of those racetracks that you can get in trouble right down here at Turn 1 with these big fields. We saw it back in Race 2 here in the season opener. So what you learned in that first race of the season, you've got to apply here if you want to find yourself successful again.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at the layout of this track. Turn 1 is so wide. I mean, it was an old airport taxiway essentially. And what happens? It turns into the exit of 1, tightens up, I mean, stunningly so. Talk about a decreasing radius corner, and you end up going onto a very narrow, by comparison, piece of tarmac like they're on right now. And you've also got the bumps through Turn 1 are absolutely massive. You've got the reason it's called Sunset Bend into 17. Well, it's because you're going into the sun and you've got the bumps. So this track really demands some pretty discreet racing in terms of not getting too crazy on the track. Because if you do it, as you said, with a big field, if you're near the front of that field and something goes wrong, there's a lot of cars that are just going to be piling into you.
Absolutely. With cars on the road right now for qualifying, we'll get graphics up here momentarily. Dealing with a little bit of an issue in the background, but Nicholas Rice-Budo is currently your qualifying leader. Joshua Soto just reset, but he is currently tied for the points lead at the moment here, Greg. So he is off to a really good start this season in this first season of 2025.
Well, he is, and we've said it before. He's always had the speed. And I was looking at some stats, basically average start, average finish, and then the average change. And when I went back to previous seasons for Josh, his numbers were always, his average finish was lower than his average start, and by a bit, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 positions. So far this year, for the first season that I've noticed, his average finish is better than where he started, and his average change per race is 1.7 positions better than where he started. So that is the difference here. He's always had the speed, and he's taken out a little bit of that wild child stuff, I think, and has really focused this year. And look where it's got him, tied for the points lead, and absolutely still fast as ever.
Yeah, doing a really nice job at the moment. P3 on the timing and scoring. And also up at the pointy end of the points, Nicholas Rice-Budo, who I mentioned is already leading the qualifying session. Beans Forster lost a spot last week in the points, but he rides 4th. And a driver that we've seen on occasion here in this Full Sense MZ Sports Series is Cam Eben, who's sort of a Miata expert here in the iRacing service. He runs 5th. Now, we've seen him run really well in the past, but getting the results has been a challenge. We'll see what he's got now that he's in the SMX car versus SM like last season.
Well, that's what I was going to say. In the real world where he does race, I think this platform is going to suit him a lot better in the sim racing world as well. He's a lot more familiar with the MX-5 in this configuration, I think. So I'm expecting to see some good stuff. Currently 5th in this session, and it's great to see that. The other guy in the tees I alluded to, a former 3-time champ who went 22 positions. He improved at the last round at Homestead with some great runs there. And of course, that's Morgan Burkhardt, currently now 10th in the points, but sitting 2nd in this qualifying run as well. And you can see right now, he is leading this group around that includes Cam Eben there.
Yeah, it's no surprise that he's jumped up into 2nd place, and he'll be absolutely one of the drivers to beat. I mentioned this is a big field. This is the biggest field we've had so far. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37 cars in this field, which is up 7 or 8 from the season opener when we were here last time. So this is great to see, and been a lot of new league applications and approvals, and the SM, sort of the feeder series that they've built into this, is also going really well. So just Court Schmidt, Full Sense Sims, and the entire league organization, they've done a really nice job of drawing in people into this highly competitive environment. We're getting to reap the reward here, getting to watch these guys every Tuesday for a couple of races.
Yeah, absolutely, and I love that the concept of, if you're kind of an unknown, you go race in the SM League on Monday nights, not broadcast, at least not yet. But that's where the officials will watch you, look at what you're doing, and if you race really well, you race clean, you don't have penalty points, infractions and the like, then after 2 clean events, which is 4 races, you will get the nod to move up to SMX if you want to. It isn't required, but you can. And we've already had a number of them move up, and that helps swell the ranks. And if you're already an established driver, so we're watching Ian Anderson get a nice toe on Gianni Morrow there, and see that's going to pay off for him. But if you're already really established in the iRacing world, you're very highly rated and the like, you can apply just to come straight into SMX. And of course, a Cam Evan, those types of drivers, they are going to get that nod.
Yeah, and Ian Anderson is new to this series. His first round was last time out at Homestead Miami Speedway. First race 23rd, second race 9th, and he's running 6th right now in qualifying. So I think he's got some pace. He showed it last time out at Homestead and already showing it to us pretty early on here. Just a couple minutes left to go. We've also got Henry Drury joining us again, of course a competitor in the Toyota GR Cup North America Series, and with the PT Autosport Group, and there he is right now down in 20th. We haven't seen him in a little while. Good to have him back. Preston Pardis is here in the number 42, who we've seen out a couple of times. So there's just stacked talent up and down the order here.
Yeah, there really is, and it's really going to be fun to watch here. And keep in mind, we have seen some really good turns of speed from Gianni Morrow, and he's currently 7th. Dylan Leesman fast. Hayden Manis has shown great speed. Wozencroft has been there. I mean, even down to 14th and 15th, Elliott Burton and Deacon Greenfield, they've shown some real pace here. So once again, we're starting to see, as you said, the depth of this field. When you've got drivers of that caliber outside of the top 10 in quali, this is a deep field.
Yeah, and I think, just goes to show you get 37 of these guys in here. There's bound to be a number of them that are going to be running up front. Right now, very tight across the top 3, half a second across the 3.7 mile racetrack. There is a pretty sizable gap back from there, though. The next driver is Beans Forster. He's back a full second from Nicholas Rice-Sputo. And there's about a 6.7 second gap from 1st to 34th. So it certainly is a big span here in this qualifying session. I think things will tighten up, though, in the race once the drafting starts.
Yeah, I think so, too, and I think that's part of it. Some of the guys in front, they may have, been able to find that toe. We saw, for instance, Ian Anderson drafting on Morrow, and it jumped him up into 7th. But if you don't get a good draft on this track in quali, and you have to do it on your own, you're going to be, off by a little bit relative to somebody else that was able to get a good draft here. Watching Court Schmidt, and he's had a great season. He had a 3rd already this year at one of the earlier races, and then he had some problems at Homestead with getting caught up in incidents again. But I love watching him in this sim, and you can see just how serious it is. And when he's got that wide camera of this sim, it's spectacular what these full sim sims look like and what they're capable of.
Yeah, I love the Sawbelt shirt too as well. It's of the hour, I suppose. And working his way through turn 1 now, 25th. He won't have enough time to come back around. That was one of the Barbie cars. There's been a couple of those. Is that Jose? No, Jose de las Casas is somewhere else on course.
That's the 717. Yeah, it is. Oh, he's parked over there.
Yep, James Newell is who I was looking for. There he is, the 123. Got a handful of drivers giving us their onboard perspectives. Court Schmidt was one of them. James Newell does also have it on board for us to keep an eye on tonight.
Nice.
Driving with the sort of the yoke-style wheel rim, which I think can be a challenge in an MX-5 where you've got a lot of oversteer moments, but doesn't seem to be holding him back too much.
He's decided, all right, I'm done.
Celine Roland went 4th quick in the 87.
Wow, that was a lap. Fantastic.
A number of drivers still on quick laps, but running out of time to complete them. Andrew Gilliland is not going to complete a lap in qualifying. He had 4 attempts at it, but didn't get a clean one, so he'll start tail of the field. Trace Hance comes across the stripe. He's just starting a lap, and so he will also start at the tail. That's big news for the 53, who we've seen perform at a very high level.
Yeah, it is. He's got a lot. The two of them have a lot of work to do. And Andrew Gilliland has a podium in the SM Series last year at Willow Springs, which is, by the way, the next venue we're going to be going to. And we have a lot of great history on tracks here in the Northeast and Southeast. But Willow Springs, one of the truly storied tracks out on the West Coast, And I love that we're making that trip nowadays.
It's still currently for sale in the real world too. I hope that gets purchased up by someone who can really make it count. But excited to see the future for that racetrack. I've been there a couple of times.
Yeah, great place.
It is. And as the sun begins to set, we get a look at our sort of track conditions for this first race. It's not quite nighttime yet, but it is cooling down and pretty comfortable, I'd say, for Sebring, Florida. 68 Fahrenheit, 73-degree track temp. It is nice out there.
Yeah, beautiful. And obviously that track temp is not going to go up anymore as we are, going to be heading into dusk and twilight here in short order. A couple of champions on that front row, Rice Budo and Burkhardt, the 3-time champ. Soto and Celine Roland, what a great lap he put in. That's fantastic. Cam Eben looking really stout too. And we talked about it late in the going. Hayden Manis, look where he ended up, put in a really solid lap, jumped to 6th, and dropped Beans to the 7th spot.
Big field, 37 SMX cars getting set to go racing here. We won't be able to bring you all the way through the grid with the graphics because they're a little on the slow side tonight, but we'll pull up the ticker on the left-hand side of the screen and kind of run through things. You documented the front row with Rice Budo and Burkhardt. It's Soto and Roland in row number 2, then Eben and Manis in row 3, Greg, with Forster, Burke, Brock Jr., and Newell rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, and I tell you, Jason Burke and that 52, that purple car with the white stripes, I'm not real familiar with him, but man, he's been showing some serious pace here in qualifying.
I think he was one of the new drivers last time out as well. Yep, Homestead Miami was his first round, 13th and 17th there, but up 4 and 6 positions respectively from his start positions, and so with a strong qualifying spot, I think he's due to go forward a little ways.
I think so too. Then in the 11th spot, it's the 147 of Ian Anderson. 12th would be the 18 of Johnny Morrow. 13th and number 2 with Dylan Lee. 14th, Gareth Nyland in the 136. 15th, it's Wozy in the number 80. 16th, it is the number 6 of Elliott Burton. 17th, the 20 of Keegan Greenfield. 18th is the 89 of Jim Friedhofer. 19th, the 421 of Michael Breck. And in the 20th spot, the 42 of Preston Pardis, a multiple champion in national SCCA competition in Spec Miata.
And Henry Drury rolls off 21st, aforementioned that he currently competes in the Toyota GR Cup North America Series to some success there. Joshua Clatterbuck, 22nd, followed by Seth Spolman and Bob Mueller Jr. in row number 12. Court Schmidt wearing the new Sawbelt shirt with the Sawbelt partnership that has just started as of today. And of course, the owner of Full Send Sims, 25th place. Stephen Bleff in 26th, Miles Brown, Jose de las Casas in 27th and 28th, Dave Perez and Daniel Higgins, 29th and 30th.
And in 31st, it's the 61 of Andrew Goetta. 32nd, the 193 of Josh Bakari. 33rd will be the 221 of Charles McCarl. 34th will be the 212 of Arif Aziz. 35th will be the 73 of Wayne Buttermore. And then 36 and 37s, two guys that are fast. The young man, 91, Andrew Gilliland, and the 53 of Trace Hands. And while we got this long pace lap, I just want to make a mention here. The prizes, the hardware prizes, the top 3 always get a trophy, but the hardware prizes this year are just ridiculous, Kyle. If you are the top qualified driver, and that means you can't be a member of the Full Send Sims admin, instructor, all of those things, you get a Pro Sim H-pattern shifter, and that is absolutely massive. Second place, a Butt Kicker Gamer Pro, and third place, an SRS speed-sensitive wind simulation setup as well. So again, Full Send Sims and these sponsors upping the ante in terms of those hardware prices.
Oh, they have. They've always put up some good stuff, and every year, every season, they seem to be getting bigger and better and badder. I'm starting to think I should trade my spot and get down there with the steering wheel at some point, trick out my setup.
Absolutely, why not?
But,
well, I don't want you to, but I want you to. But I don't want you to.
Yeah, it's, well, I'll say I enjoy being up here with you, Greg, so I'll stick it out for at least another season. But sun is heading down, and track is cooling off, and this is going to be pretty fun. It's a 20-minute race. We're not going to see a ton of track transition, but we are going to experience different conditions than what we will in the second race, which will be deeper in the night. Not only will the track be cooler still, but you'll also have just your sight lines to contend with. And here in iRacing, just like the real world, there are reflector strips to help kind of guide you around here. Without those, things can get pretty hard to see. So especially in traffic, when you're just trying to figure out where the edge of the road is, your headlights are just illuminating the bumper ahead of you.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to know where the edges of the road are.
Well, and that leads me to a question I wanted to ask. In the dark, we've been talking already this season about, the new debris sim that they've got, especially the marbles. Well, at night, it's tough to see them, and you go charging into a turn and think I can round up around the outside or something. And, is it possible you get into those marbles before you even know they exist?
Oh, absolutely. You'll hear them,
Yeah.
and that won't be a very comforting sound.
I was going to say.
But, yeah, you're going to have a hard time spotting them. I think it might be a little easier than it used to be. The marbles are actually three-dimensional now. They used to be just a flat 2D texture. So a little easier to see, but it's going to be something that if you're offline, you're going to know it, and it's going to be the car out of control before you can really see it. So something to keep in mind. 20 minutes is around 8 to 9 laps here. And Rasputo and Burkhardt and Soto, this is a trio we've seen do battle here before. Roland, Eben, Manis, sort of newcomers to this front-running fight. Let's see what they've got here, Greg. First of 2 20-minute races in the 5th round of the season for the Full Sense Sims Esports SMX Series.
All right, and here we go. Onto the front straight, getting ready to head into that ultra-tricky turn 1. A lot of cars out of the line, but Barney says, go, we're green. And a good start by Rasputo, but look at Morgan Burkhardt. He got a nose ahead, but then Josh Soto decided to help Rasputo and a couple of guys way down to the inside. Look at this, 5-6 abreast heading into turn number 1. And let's see what happens. This is a huge pinch point, and there it is. Oh no, Court Schmidt involved, Buttermore involved. Up front, it is Burkhardt leading through. Made it happen into the lead in front of Rasputo.
Yeah, I also saw it looked like Andrew Gillen got caught up in that. We'll take a look at that when we get some clear time a bit later. Hayden Manis a little wide at the exit of turn 5. Now through Gurney Bend towards the safety pin, they call it these days. The shorter of the 2 hairpins, that gives you a little more runoff room. And the 2 leaders side by side down towards that safety pin braking zone.
Yeah, Morgan, you can see protecting a little bit. He's going to force Rasputo to go around the outside. And Rasputo just opts to tuck back in. Celine Roland also got a great start. Jumps up from that 4th spot into 3rd. Now, though, here comes Soto trying to get up along the outside. And you can actually make this work if you are way absolutely alongside. Rasputo thinking about it, too. I don't think he's in position. But here goes Soto trying to pin. Oh, and Roland just wide, takes him right to the curb. And I think that was fine. And Soto totally recognized it and just tucked in.
Yeah, that was smart. That could have been ugly there if he had kept the nose in on the outside. Roland committed. Soto saw that he was going to commit, left the space for him to do that. But now through Tower Turn, and in one of my favorite parts of this racetrack, Bishop Bend, I love slinging the car through these lefts, just hooking the curbs. Big rattles on these curbs set into the concrete over here. Now that iRacing's got them modeled in 3D, they're even more jarring. And you can get up on top of those things, but you have to watch out for how much it flings the car and set up for one of the most important corners on this racetrack, Le Mans. Miss for Soto. He's going to run a little wide.
Yeah, he got wide there. Good catch. Yeah, and this is the one of, there's so many of them actually, crucial corners here, but this long run down the Ullman Straight, Le Mans curve is so critical to get it right. And now into the sunset, into the bumps of turn 17. Here we go, completing the lap. Ooh, Roland looked like he had a little bobble there. Car looked like it just sort of nosed wide, walked itself wide. Even worse, though, for Soto. Look at Johnny Morrow hanging it wide around the outside.
And Ian Anderson, Preston Pardis, they're in this mix as well. Pardis center screen of the white, red, and blue car. But look how tight Morrow and who's this alongside him? Is that Gareth Nyland? It is.
I think it is, yeah.
The 136, really close quarters, racing between these two, touch into turn 1.
Ooh, yep. Gareth turned in, and unfortunately for him, Morrow was there. And you can see it just moved him a little bit, didn't cost him a position. Then hard on the brakes, down to the inside, the 42. Uh-oh, is that Evan?
Evan, yeah, and I didn't really see what had happened to him, but sort of pulled off. I wonder if there was some contact elsewhere. He was about, what, 5th or 6th in line?
Yeah, he was doing fine.
Let's have a look.
See what happens here.
Sort of looked like he just came to a stop, but maybe there was more to it.
I wonder if he...
No, just went straight. So
yeah,
maybe something went wrong off screen.
Sounded like his engine was running, and I didn't see any smoke. Oh, he's back at it now.
Whoa, a little bit of smoke. Whoa, man.
Oh!
Seth Spolman went for a ride there. He's right center track.
Sure did.
Oh, that's a
one
terrifying
of the full set Sims cars. Yeah. Ugh. All right. gathers it up.
The car ahead of him that got turned around. 101, I believe. Josh Clatterbuck.
Boom. Yeah.
Man.
Well, that's innocent bystander stuff, isn't it?
That sure is.
Got a shot there at Trace Hans, who's already worked his way up into the 21st spot.
That's impressive.
That's
last.
really impressive.
I mean, we've lost a couple cars, but there's only 2 that are still off the racetrack. So he has carved his way through 15 cars or so in the first 5 minutes of this race.
Yeah, we didn't have one of those grand carambolages that took out 10, 15 cars. So he's doing this all on his own. Look at this move around Drury. And Drury's going to keep him pinned a little bit side by side. Trace says, all right, you got me. I'll tuck in behind. I got a nice long straight. Try and get a little toe off you here and see what he can pull off. Trying to crack that top 20 here.
So while we got a minute, let's go back and look at the turn 1 collision that we saw Court Schmidt involved in and see a little push to Seth Spolman here. I imagine that something probably starts ahead. There's Andrew Gilliland trying to poke his way through. Gilliland goes, they're 4 wide. There's half your problem. And then Gilliland and Schmidt get together, and that's where that comes from.
And it turned Schmidt right into and catch that other car number.
Either.
But up front, we got a little breakaway happening here, don't we?
Yeah, Burkhardt and Rice Budo, they've put 8/10 on Roland and Manis, and that's dangerous for those guys because I do think that Burkhardt and Rice Budo are capable of breaking away. Manis feels the pressure, poked the nose on Roland, but didn't have enough of a run to get alongside.
Yeah, and that's the problem, isn't it? You got to make that pass clean. Ooh, nice move there by Newell.
Yep, Newell
getting
on Burke.
through on Burke. He's trying to work his way up through the pack. Skip Brock trying to take advantage of it in that yellow and blue machine.
Yeah, Skip Brock Jr. lost 2 spots in the points from 3rd to 5th last time out at Homestead, 31st and 32nd. That was a week to forget.
Yeah, it really was. Oh, look at this. He's going to double him up. If he can make this stick, that'll be so close. He and Newell almost trading paint there.
A really tight squeeze. That was aggressive on the brakes, but turn 7, you can really stomp on the binders. It's a straight braking zone. There are some bumps, but you don't have to really turn in or do anything funky. It's a pretty straightforward hairpin corner. So get in there really deep on the brakes. Use all the power that you have. These cars do have ABS. And in this SMX setup, they're a little lighter than they were when we had them kind of configured to run like SM cars. So the performance is there, and this has taken Brock a while to finish, hasn't it?
I was going to say, it's about a 5-corner pass here.
Might not.
It's still not. And a touch.
I thought he was going for the guardrail there for a second. I cannot believe he straightened that thing out.
No, that was amazing. Well, Brock gave it one heck of a run for about 6 corners and couldn't quite close it out. But it just shows you, when you've got, and that was, there was a touch there, but I don't think it was anything egregious. But that was 5-6 corners side by side. When you respect the people you're racing with, that's what can happen. I love it.
Right stuff. Roland's been able to sort of keep tabs on Rice Budo. It's about a 7/10 gap, so it hasn't really gone anywhere. 6/10 now at the end of the Ullman Straight. A little bit of co-opetition between these front 2. They haven't battled a lot. They know the deal at Sebring. How many photo finishes have we had here? Almost every race.
Exactly, yeah. Incredibly close. Here you can see Rice Budo gets that run, tries to make the pass. No, he wants to do everything he can to work with Burkhardt at this stage.
How about this?
Look at this. 4 wide, Kyle.
4 wide on the front stretch, now down to 3. Ian Anderson, the newcomer to the series, is on the inside. Dylan Lee in the middle, Burton on the outside, and who's this other car that's crept into this mix?
Is it Greenfield?
It is, sorry, Deacon Greenfield in that 20. Different livery, I think, for that car.
Yeah, it is a little different. He's changed the color scheme up to try and get a little bit better luck.
Yeah, sometimes that works. We had, Gary Wimble in the Grid Life Touring Cup Series kept getting run into, so he painted his car a different color, and he noted to me after the first race with it, he goes, people do race you different when they don't know whose car that is in the different colors. But then he got involved in an accident again, and that went out the window. So
yeah, it's a good thought, though.
Yeah, I mean, race car drivers got to be a little superstitious, right?
Absolutely. Well, that was if you can make it stick here. We couldn't quite. It looked like Deacon might be able to get around on Dylan Lee, but Dylan covered it beautifully. Then Ian Anderson in that white car, and then right behind him, Wozy sitting there in that 16th spot. That's that red and yellow number 80 there.
He is giving us his onboard perspectives as well. Joshua Soto down a couple of spots and wide at Tower Turn alongside now
Beans.
Beans, yeah.
Yeah, Beans is coming after him here.
And things have tightened up at the front. 4 tenths rather from Rice Budo to Roland. So this group is beginning to sort of accordion back together.
It's interesting for Beans, isn't it, Kyle? Because, earlier this season here, he's had a couple of really good qualifying runs where he started right up front row or at least second row. And in this one, he just couldn't put it together, and he finds himself back in like row 4 and has to fight for it now.
Look at his heart rate and almost near peak. You can see him taking a deep breath. He's sweating. 155 BPM.
Watch his footwork here, folks. The racing ballet right there.
And then right back to full power. That's the thing I love about low power cars is not a lot of throttle control. You just hammer that thing to the firewall and hold it there as long as you can.
Yeah, I remember when Denny said, he said, Spec Miata and Spec MX, one of the few classes of cars where you would better be full throttle before the apex.
Yep. As early as you can commit. Woo, man, they're dancing on the edge of that's the other thing, is just the balance right on the edge of control, right on the edge of grip. And the top 5 under a blanket here, top 6 rather at the front. Pretty tight together.
Yeah, they are. I mean, Celine, Hayden, Josh, and Beans are not losing too much right now to Burkhardt and Rice Budo. And then there's this tasty little Newell. See that back end step out a little bit?
Yeah, and Ian Anderson had split the difference between Greenfield and Wozencroft. And now Elliot Burton is all over Dylan Lee. And I've just seen Preston Pardis go tumbling down the order, and I don't know why.
Into the pits.
Oh, just got up on the curb and crashed.
Ooh. Well, there's those live action curbs you're talking about.
Yeah, I'll get you. And how about this top 3? Here comes Roland to the outside.
Wow, did they close that down in a hurry here?
Game on.
Well, and I wonder if this wasn't Morgan. Look at his last lap. Yeah, he backed it off. He is an absolute master of slowing down to get the guy behind him to start to have to fight with somebody behind him. And watch for those attacks. Morgan loves to do that. It's a legit strategy, and it's effective, and he's the best at it. And I just wonder, suddenly he's a second off the pace. He didn't just back Rice Budo right up into Roland.
Yeah, and the question now becomes, what's Roland going to do? Morgan Burkhardt way out of control there. Goes for a huge slide, and that's going to set up Rice Budo for a pass.
Absolutely. That just that little bit, it was, certainly exceeded the slip angle of these tires, and that could give Rice Budo opportunity here. Here he comes closing up, but he opts to nope. He's just sort of hunting on the bumper there, but opts to sit back. But Celine Roland now is officially right there. Ooh, Rice Budo a little wide.
Yeah, the point
down to the inside.
What I was going to make about Celine is that he's a wild card. We haven't really seen him battle for a win yet. He's got a lot of racecraft experience in Miata racing in general, so he knows where to place this car. He just hasn't really been in this position just yet, racing with guys of the talent level of Burkhardt and Rice Budo here in this series, so he's going to get to show us what he knows behind the wheel of a virtual race car tonight.
And look at that, Rice Budo going for it. Burkhardt staying on his outside, runs way wide. Those two, I think there was a little tiny bit of a touch there, and Celine is just trying to figure out, all right, who do I go with here? Ooh, and again, Burkhardt way wide at the apex.
Yeah, and Roland was setting up Rice Budo, but all this has brought in Hayden Manis into the quartet. We might see them fan out like fighter jets here heading into the hairpin.
Oh, how fun would that be? Look at this. Celine trying to figure out, where do I go? He goes to the outside. Rice Budo. No, Hayden Manis, late lunge. Look at that move. Overcooks. Burkhardt's off. There goes Rice Budo, and look who jumps into second. Josh Soto.
And that was a big move. And Manis knows that he got in there way too deep. But it opened up the door for Rice Budo to sneak through. Soto to second. And Roland and Burkhardt are going to feel pretty shorted by that.
I think so.
But there's enough time. There's plenty of time for Burkhardt to get back. They're coming to what I think should be probably 2 to 3 laps to go, depending on when we get back to the stripes. So, which is a long time around Sebring.
It is. But I'll tell you, that first 14 minutes has flown by, hasn't it?
It has.
Just watching all of the good scrapes and scraps that are going on.
Headlights on.
Yeah, look at this lead now by Rice Pudo.
Starting to see those reflectors now as the nighttime comes out, just on the painted lines.
Look at that Bean sitting right there in third. Boy, he took advantage of that view. Oh, a little bump there.
Yep.
Celine loosened him up a little bit, and here he comes. That's going to help those guys up front.
He didn't get the run that he needed to complete the pass either. So it might be Soto versus Rice Pudo, but as soon as they start battling, I mean, go back to Morgan Burkhardt. I don't think he's done yet. He's got enough pace to run these guys back down on his own.
Absolutely. I mean, he really was the big loser in that exchange, but we've seen it. He's got the speed. And I want to go back to, what I was talking about at the top of the show about Josh Soto. I really think in the last season, Soto would have been more likely to do the Manis move, right? Again, he was just super aggressive. He didn't. He waited, and look where he is, sitting in second after running fifth. And I just think he's really, really dialed up his racecraft now, and really is big picturing it, and it's paying off for him. Tied for the points.
Yeah, I think P2 is the place to be here in the last lap of Sebring as well. So he's positioned himself really nicely. Burkhardt working over Manis here. Manis is wide. It's going to allow Burkhardt to pull up alongside. And 4.5 minutes. This is going to be. I think we should be good for 2 more after this. So there's definitely still time on the board for this to refire. And the top 4 are on top of each other again.
Yes, they are. And right there, Burkhardt getting through on Hayden Manis. So, but he runs wide again down in the hairpin. That just costs you a little bit of time every time you do that.
Brings in Skip Brock Jr. and James Newell.
As
well. So maybe Burkhardt can be the bit of a draft bridge here in the next half a lap or so and make this more than just 4 cars battling for the win, as if we needed more cars up at front.
Exactly.
Needed to install a second slow-mo camera at the start-finish line.
This is going to be fascinating to watch. Morgan's best lap was a 2:28.8, and his last one was that 2:32. So it's going to be fascinating to see if he can do this on his own. There goes the 52 of Burke. That's 9th. And then Gianni Morrow, another great run in this hugely deep field up into 10th.
Bishop Bend, 110-mile-an-hour corner.
Yeah. And look at how quick Morgan is closing on the back of Roland.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be there by the end of the Ullman Straight, if not already.
Yeah, he's close enough. I think he's going to get a nice, especially if Roland moves on Forster and gives Morgan a double draft. It doesn't look like they're going to do it, at least not yet. Long straight here, though, down the Ullman Straight, named after the founder of the 12-hour race, and Soto's the one that's going to take a look, go for the lead. Rice Pudo going to fight him around the outside, and Soto just tucks right back in. Now he tries to come back underneath again. Does he have it here? Look at Beans!
3 wide, 2 minutes 29 to go. This will be the last lap of this race.
Oh man, game on. And look at Morgan has caught Roland. Is he going to dive? No, because Roland did. Morgan realized.
Roland's in the fence. Here comes Burkhardt for 4th, and now he's got the top 3 right in the crosshairs here.
Look at this battle up front.
There'll be 3
Beans
wide.
Trying the outside. Look at the move by Soto. And off goes Beans. And that was clean. I didn't see there was no. Oh! Rice Pudo sideways. Cost his momentum, and look at Roland now.
Everybody everywhere, 2 by 2.
Oh, man.
Roland in the catbird seat. Burkhardt just watching, masterminding this like he's puppeteering this whole thing from P4.
Boy, and look how far to the right Rice Pudo to touch as he came back over. That nudges Roland over into Soto, and then I think a little bump, and Burkhardt goes through.
Yeah, that's going to give.
But he's got company.
Yeah, Roland's going to have a slowdown, I think, for that. He might fight and want that dismissed because he got shuffled off track. 3 wide for second. Rice Pudo loves to see this.
Oh, man, he is grinning right now.
No way.
And no. Oh, what's going to happen? There's a touch.
Roland
did
somehow.
well to save that. Oh, and then Roland comes over, and Burkhardt, how did he save that?
No idea, but he's
Lord.
not gonna win this race anymore, not from 9th.
Yeah, no. But what a drive.
Oh, there goes Soto.
Oh, he got some help. That made Manis.
Soto gets
Oh,
looped.
and did you see Newell just had a huge tank slapper?
Man, this is chaos.
This is absolute mayhem, yeah.
Pandemonium at the front of the field, and a full second between Rice-Puto and Roland, so he might be safe, but everyone else behind has still got positions left to fight over.
Oh, look at this. You bet. Here comes Beans. Got a really nice run. Opportunity here. Newell and Burke having a great little scrap, and this is for 7th. Yeah, Rice-Puto. He's just got to get through Sunset Bend.
And we're coming back to a checker this time, so this will be for the race win.
Just hit his marks. Keep your focus. Nice, pretty arc through there. Onto the front straight. It is going to be Rice-Puto. And this is one of the bigger margins of victory we have seen here at Sebring as he's celebrating. Coming down the front straight. The battle for second. Roland. Is that Skip Brock who jumped up there?
It's showing it. Skip Brock, P3.
My goodness.
Where did he come from?
Wow, did he play that? Stealth mode. Yeah, it sure was.
Wow.
Burkhardt ends up 4th.
And that's impressive because he was 9th at Tower Turn.
I know. Just remarkable.
Well,
and you know, there was the odd bump here and there, but on that last lap with all of that mayhem, I didn't see anybody go around.
No, I mean, other than Soto getting looped.
Yeah.
That was the only one I really saw. I wanted to go back and look at, this was Burkhardt's big slide that we were watching earlier.
Look at that.
That was just absolutely crazy. I mean, he just gets wide up onto the curb here. He just hooks the left front tire, and wow, what a slide.
And got it straightened out, was able to get that weight shifted to the left and get that turn in through Lamar and not lose much mojo. That was pretty impressive.
Well, let's have a look at race results quickly before we move on to the next race. In our short crossover period here, Rice-Puto, Roland, Brock Jr., top 3. Finally, Roland gets a podium here. We know how good he is, and he finally was able to show it tonight. Manis, P5, Burkhardt, 4th. Had to do a lot of work to get there, though, up and down.
Oh, absolutely. Then Forrester, Newell, Burke, Morrow, and Gareth Nyland round out your top 10. But Skip Brock Jr. playing the stealth mode, and just an absolutely stellar drive. And look at Josh Soto after it was looking so good, and now he's 11th.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. Ian Anderson was down the order a little ways. He rebounded pretty nicely for a 13th.
Yeah, he did.
And, Henry Drury, P20. Trace Hance, 19th after starting dead last. So some decent results there. I know that they'll all want to go a little bit higher up the order here, though. But with the session ticking over, the results are going to go away. And we'll have a few minutes now to talk about what we saw before we head into this next race. And, man, learned a lot. I think the aggression level is up tonight for sure. I don't think anyone was content just sitting around.
No, it didn't seem like it. Obviously, Burkhardt and Rice-Puto early on, maybe the first half of the race, you can see they were trying to work together. And I think at a certain point, I think Burkhardt, backed Rice-Puto into Celine Roland and the rest of that pack. And, unfortunately, the guy who paid the price for the most part was Burkhardt himself. But it worked. I mean, suddenly Rice-Puto had people all over him. But at the end of it, it was a great drive by Rice-Puto to be able to just ease away here. And, Beans, obviously, look at that. Look at that peak heart rate in the heat of that battle. 162, Kyle.
That is pretty crazy.
That is thumping.
Yep, and it got intense for a while, I'll say.
Yeah, it did.
But he's looking things over, kind of watching that back, analyzing already what he can do different for this second race. And here's our conditions for race 2. It's nighttime, and have a look at the weather here in just a moment. And the air temp is down a couple more degrees. Track temp 68 Fahrenheit. Humidity's up a little bit, but it's kind of similar to I don't know what the temperature's like, but there's some racing going on down there this weekend that we're sort of emulating, Greg.
Absolutely. It's an SCCA, a big regional event, and it features a night enduro. And, of course, one of the popular cars and classes in SCCA competition is Spec Miata and SMX, and so we're trying to mirror that. We also want to remind everybody, with FARA obviously being a sponsor of the series, that this coming weekend is the big season opener for a pretty spectacular season for FARA. For the first time, going to be racing out of the state of Florida, going as far up as your neck of the woods in Chicago there at Audubon.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff.
So,
Audubon Country Club. That's a fun little racetrack. It's designed by Alan Wilson, who's also responsible for curating the design for Barber Motorsports Park. So it's a cool layout, and it's cool to see FARA make their way up here. That racetrack also races really well. That was one of the things I took away in my time with Grid Life there. Is it's a club track, but a lot of club tracks are not necessarily known as being the best race tracks where you can make passes and moves and things. But Audubon really sets you up nicely for those, so I'm excited to see how that goes.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to call a pro race there when the IMSA GT3 Cup and some other series race there, and it was fabulous. I mean, as you said, it was some great racing and a lot of fun to be a part of it. I'm looking forward to that. The FARA opener this coming weekend, just to let everybody know, is at Homestead. And if you're watching and you don't have any other plans and you're in the Miami area, it's $20 per car parking fee. There are no ticket prices. So you can pack 4 of you into a car and end up going and spending $5-10 for the entire weekend to go watch some pretty darn good racing with FARA. So keep that in mind.
And what weekend is the Audubon weekend?
Well, let me find that real quick and I'll let you know.
I'm not too far from it. As you
no,
pointed
you're
out.
not. Yeah, that'd be great to have you come out.
But a minute, 30 seconds left in the warm-up here. A couple of drivers taking full advantage of the track time. Joshua Clatterbuck at the moment is on course alongside Seth Spolman, Anderson, Gallardo, and a few others.
July 5th and 6th.
I will be here.
Well, then come on over.
All right, well, so will Apollo. He has been all over me today. To like an annoying degree, actually, but
yeah, well, he misses Papa.
He does. But I'm
absolutely.
I've been here the whole time, but he doesn't need to be on me. So I've been kind of cycling through some cameras here, Greg. It's dark. That's clear.
Yeah.
What are some of the other challenges of night racing that folks might not necessarily be familiar with? Obviously, iRacing replicates it pretty well, but I think the visuals change for sure. But what are some of the other challenges that you'll face in a nighttime setting?
Well, I think part of it is getting back to the visuals. When you're running in a pack here, and I mean, look at that. And we've talked about sometimes you're looking through 3-4 windshields, but now it's a dark front, a dark reference point. And if you're back in the order, you're going to be seeing reflection from your headlights off of the car in front of you, and it's going to look like a black hole and through the windshields up in front. So you just got to really be paying attention, to all of the key points as you approach a turn, braking, turn in, apex, track out. And the nice thing is, if you're sort of running on your own, when it's this dark, one of the things, David Brabham in that beautiful Nissan GTP way back in the day at like 10 at night at Sebring, and it was even darker then, broke the outright track record in the race in the dark. And I asked him, how'd you do it? And he said, I had no clue I did it. He said, the lap didn't feel any, like it wasn't like I felt, wow, I really hustled that one. And he said, but what it is, I think, in the dark is all of those things that go whizzing by you in daylight that give you that sense of speed and thus sense of fear are gone. And if you could just really focus on those points, braking, turn in, track out, apex, that sort of thing, he said, they just told me, they said, you just broke the track record. And he said, I had no clue. So, it's just interesting little things that you've got to be paying attention to. And of course, the brake lights are going to be much brighter and you're up behind somebody. I mean, all of those little elements are going to play into it, and it just requires just that much more focus.
Yeah, it's interesting to see just the different areas of lighting. There's a little bit of flood lighting around some of the areas on the track that you can see, but how quickly you descend into darkness once you leave the main straightaway. Yeah. And how quickly and chaotic, you mentioned the reflections, especially when cars get turned around backwards and start, flashing headlights at you. There's smoke, sparks. There's just a lot of other sensations that can be a distraction. But we grid this race by the finishing results of the previous. So there's a couple of drivers that will sort of have to start all over, one of them being Andrew Gilliland, tail of the field again. And this has just been a frustrating season for Andrew. He's had pace, but things have just not gone his way. probably could argue that collision in race 1 had a little bit of his doing, but that was probably the first time this season that it's been a result of something that he did. So
exactly,
he's just got to get it stitched together so he can start collecting some points. Yeah,
he's got to be frustrated because we know how quick he is. I mean, he got that great podium last year. Oh, somebody not getting off the line there, so Andrew eases around. And I'll tell you, the guy I'm going to be watching here. Good. All right, we got underway. I think that's Jose De Las Casas. Yep. The guy that I'm going to really be kind of watching here is Trace Hans. Remember, he started 37th, worked his way up into the 19th spot, where he now gets to start a lot closer to the front. What's he going to be able to do? Is he going to be able to really make a difference and work his way up through the field? It's going to be fun to watch, that's for sure.
Yep, and from Florida, we know, it's your home track, home turf.
Yep.
Lay claim to it.
And Mr. Rice Pudo, just first guy this season to get a third win. A couple of two-time winners have joined him, but that was his third of the season.
Yeah, that's noteworthy.
Yeah, it is, absolutely.
When you're starting to, we're still pretty early in this season, effectively the 1/3 mark, but we're starting to see trends on how things are going to go, and someone's going to start easing ahead in the wins column, and it very well could be Nicholas Rice Pudo. The aggression and the consistency have really started to pay off for him.
Yeah. Well, God, I hate to jinx him here with the announcers jinx, but I think he's found that nice balance point, between aggression and tempering that, and really knowing when to do it, when to use it, and when to just back off. And we'll see how that plays out. But he's sure looking strong. But I'll tell you, Celine Roland, what a story here for this event. As you said, we've seen speed from him, but nice for him to get a result like that. And man, would he love to step to the top of the box here?
Yeah, and I think a lot of this just comes to, he didn't qualify poorly this time. He's really struggled with qualifying in the past, or didn't qualify or lay down a qualifying lap. And so he'd always be sort of in the rear of the field. We saw for Court Schmidt and Andrew Gilliland how that goes. When you've got all this chaos around you, it's just hard to get through the first couple of laps. But when you start near to the front and you're with drivers that are, similar to you in pace, it's a lot easier to stay in the game. And it wasn't like Roland was slow. He just got caught up in incidents a lot. And so now that he's up front around the drivers that kind of match his pace and match his aggression, I think we're going to see a lot of success out of him, at least tonight. And I think he's picked up a thing or two that if he's skipping qualifying on purpose, maybe you shouldn't do that.
Exactly.
This is the key here.
And then let's not forget Skip Brock. We kind of lost. I kind of lost him in that race. And he just, when all that chaos was breaking loose, drove a couple of absolutely stellar laps and popped it right up onto the podium. And let's see if he can repeat that in this one and be in the hunt again. And a guy that's starting a little bit closer up now is James Newell, and we saw the pace that he has. And I don't know about you, like I said, I'm not real familiar with him, but I'm really impressed with Jason Burke.
Yeah, one of the newer drivers. He and Ian Anderson were a pairing that came in at Homestead, Miami, and they've really done a nice job acclimating to the expectations and the pace of this series. But through Sunset Bend, there's no sun anymore. It's nighttime. Nighttime is the right time at Sebring. Let's see what they got for 20 minutes.
All right, here we go. Everybody packing up, getting ready here. Second of the doubleheaders in the dark. We're going to go racing at Sebring right now. We're green. Who is that down? Is that Newell?
Yes, it is.
Really
the
aggressive to the inside, way down to the left.
He might be leading this thing. Here he comes.
Could. Oh, now here comes the pinch point. Newell, Brock.
Morrow, midfield.
Whoa, and here it happens. Couple of cars, another big off right there. That was a rough. Another one in the back. Oh boy.
Yeah, that was
still happening back there.
It started with Johnny Morrow. We'll look at that one again a little later when we can. But we always get one of these races where turn one is a little bit of a construction zone, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
And Rice Pudo and Roland come out on top.
There we go with Brock sitting right there. James Newell didn't make that 7th to 4th here in the start. Nice job by him. Look at the battle behind, side by side, Manis and Forrester.
Manis would like another go at this too, because had he arrested his momentum 5% better when he was going for the lead, he might have had a chance to win that last race, but he's often has a slowdown, I think.
Oh boy, sure did. And Morgan Burkhardt is in 11th right now. See what he's going to be able to do.
How do you end up?
Late show of the nose.
He must have
Yeah, he apparently got swallowed up at the start. Yeah, Burkhardt and Soto, boy, there's a tandem of speed if they work together, right?
Yeah, Soto got looped at the end of race 1. Burkhardt.
Oh, Burkhardt underneath.
Almost. That was tight. And Cam Evan watching this out the windshield. He's going to pop to the right of Soto. Oh, that's tight between these two.
Oh, so tight. And Evan really late on the brakes, but really early turn in there. Looks like he might be getting away with it.
And he did.
Yeah, wow.
And it's a little wide there. Here's Trace Hance, 13th place, already up 6 in just the opening lap.
He's on the move. Love that. And Hayden Mann is 12th after that slowdown, so maybe he and Trace here, there they are. The two of them work together a little bit. Oh, here comes Roland. Ooh, big lunge, and then he had a big wobble. Did you see that?
Yeah, I thought he might have just jammed it down there to see if he could get Rice Budo to do something wild. Rice Budo was wide at the exit, and it's going to cost him a ton of speed. I think he might get past here.
Here he comes.
Roland's going to hold him.
Knew it.
He's going to hold him right down there until the very last second.
Oh, and Skip Brock went with Rice Budo. And look at this move by Newell coming around the outside. Beans watching it all unfold. They are still side by side.
Wow, power move on the outside.
What a pass.
Oh, Newell a little bit off kilter there. Knocked Skip Brock Jr. a little wide and Forster again. He has to lift on exit to avoid running into the back of the 32, but he's going to find a hole and sneak past.
Yep, right up underneath and going with Newell here. Listen to that. That's those marbles, isn't it?
Yep. And it's probably some rocks and debris as well from running wide at 5.
Well, good point. And here we go. Newell still parked on the outside here of Beans. Look at this. And Beans still, that was a little bit of a nudge, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little touch here and there.
And Gareth Nyland has had a great opening few laps. He's up in the 6th. And he's the one battling there with Skip Brock.
5th place now.
Yeah.
He's by the 32. Skip's not done. And contact. Oh, boy.
Come on, Garrett, save it. Boy, that access road came at just the right moment, didn't it?
It did. Burkhardt will take advantage of it, though.
Yep. Any opportunity, you know that. There is that purple and white entry of Burke. Look at this train. This is fabulous.
I love night racing. I like dusk racing better because you can still sort of see the cars, but but night racing just brings a whole different dynamic. You don't get to do a lot of night racing in iRacing on the road racing side unless you're doing endurance races. So sprint night races are a unique treat.
Well, and I am loving the onboard shots when we go to them here because it really gives you that, look at that feel of the nighttime here in Sebring.
Yeah, and we've got, dozens of headlights behind, but when you're the first car in this train or you're all on your own, it changes the dynamics quite a bit. Rice Budo giving Roland a shove. Look how deep he pushed him into 17.
Then I wonder here if Rice Budo, just thinking back to the first race when I think Burkhardt backed him up just a little bit, I wonder if he thinks that Celine wouldn't do that necessarily. But the problem is, Nicholas there, he just lost a little bit of a run out of 17. So there's a bit of a gap there now, and he's got Beans working him over pretty good.
A wide there. I think that was that Newell that we saw in the dirt. Nyland on the outside of Burke. That was a little dicey into turn 3. And here's Elliott Burton and Cam Evan side by side. I just heard some contact from somewhere.
Yep. And Elliott's come from a ways back on the starting lineup, I believe, so he's having a good run here.
Not as far back as I thought, 12th to 9th.
Yeah, me either, yeah.
He snuck up there pretty late, I think, in all the late race chaos of race 1, but you're right. I mean, he started a lot deeper than that in the first race.
Oh, look at the dancing on the brakes. Cam Evan, that front nose was hunting big time. Somehow he got it woed down and turned in. But you can see that it obviously cost him that little bit of momentum.
Oh, it seems orderly right now.
Yeah, it does.
Like we're in the eye of the storm here. right in the midst of the race, and we already saw the first winds blow through earlier with that chaotic last lap in race 1.
Oh, look at Beans using that curb to help pitch him into the turn, trying to get a little bit better exit speed out. And there's Morgan.
Morgan Burkhardt's on board is hilarious. This is a zoom shot that we've got. Nighttime in his room, too, it looks like.
Sure does.
Either that or he's got the lens cap on. You know, knowing Morgan, that might be intentional.
Yeah, that's true.
Can't see anything.
Messing with us.
Yeah. It is too quiet.
It is. What do we got here? This is an incredibly close group. I mean, top 7 are covered by about a second and a half. That's just amazing. All right, let's see. Does Rice Puto try anything, or is he willing to just ride here? It looks like he's willing to ride.
Yeah, lots of time to kill in this one. We've got 4 drivers out: Greenfield, Morrow, Dylan Lee, Henry, Drury. Let's go back while we've got a minute, and let's check out the incident that started with Gianni Morrow at turn 1.
Yeah.
And see if we can get a look. So he's the red car kind of right behind Newell here into the first corner. I think he's going to get the fence is what starts this. Right there, he caught the wall.
Yep.
And once he caught the wall, he's along for the ride. There's Burkhardt way out there having to sort of miss some of this.
Yep.
And at this point, you're just along for the ride.
There's Dylan Lee.
Friedhofer takes a big spear off to the side there. Didn't get a great look at the rest of that.
Yeah.
But there's just too many cars going too many places to track any one.
Exactly. Oh, look at Brock.
This is
coming back on Burkhardt here.
I was going to say, this is coming back on Burkhardt. Burkhardt was ahead of him. And Gareth Nyland, he's going to watch and learn from both of these drivers here. Wow, look at Burkhardt. Holy cow.
Oh, super deep. His whole goal there is to pin Brock, and he did it. Now, Brock has just got to go. This is not ideal in a sense.
Second place, a battle as well. Forster on the outside. I see some brake rotors glowing on Rice Puto, so he's also been using a lot of brake to get things woed up.
Look at that line by Celine through Cunningham corner, or excuse me, Collier, as he heads up into Tower. I think he just stays way right there because he's just trying to make sure that nobody tries that late move down to the inside. But look at the head of steam that Beans has here. Man, he just cleared him easy.
And James Newell watching from fourth. Morgan Burkhardt's right here as well. I'm just curious to see the brakes so hot. I mean, we won't see it a ton here in this corner, but they have been leaning on those things and really setting them alight, which, again, I haven't seen in quite some time on these cars because we haven't really raced them at night.
That's a good point. And also, I mean, with the responsiveness of these cars, we've been talking about it, with that weight taken off, you would have thought they'd be a little easier on the brakes, but man, we are definitely seeing some rotor glow.
Yeah, I think we'll see it a big time into 3, so we'll keep an eye on it. But you won't.
Look at that arc by Roland.
I know these are only 20-minute races, but no, you don't experience brake fade, at least not yet in iRacing. But brake temperature does affect how much performance you get, so keeping brakes cool is beneficial. And if they're too cold, they won't work very well either.
All right, look at Morgan way outside. His goal here, pin Newell, and he does. Newell had to tighten that exit up just a little bit. And actually, Gareth Nyland may be getting a run on Newell here.
Forster going for the lead. They were side by side for a moment. And as you mentioned, Nyland and Burke, 7th and 8th.
Oh, here's this long, long run here through Big Bend, or turn 6. And that is Gareth Nyland, the outside of Elliott Burton. There you are, having a great scrap. And look at this. Beans getting to the outside, but watch for the counter. Did he get nicely done by Roland? Beans trying to, I think Beans did have a little bit better momentum on the exit, but Roland just covered it beautifully.
Yeah, now he's going to have a shove from Rice Puto. Contact there. Up to driver's left. He might even clear Roland by Cunningham here.
Roland Roland going to take it really deep. Does not want to give that spot up, but tightens up that exit point.
Well, he's got to keep overlap.
Is through. Look at that.
He's got him, but if he can get overlap here into Tower, he might stand a chance at holding on to this big lunge. This is tough to be side by side through.
Huge. Look at that. Boy, that's two guys that's how you race right there. Roland knew, all right, I'm pinned to the inside. It's going to hurt my momentum, but he didn't drift over and get into Beans. A lot of credit there. It's cost him, obviously. He's going from the lead to potentially fourth, because look who's working the outside of him right now.
Yeah, here comes Burkhardt. They were all dreading this. They knew it was coming. They knew it was coming. It doesn't matter how far you bury him in the field. You give him 4 tires attached to a motor, he'll get that car back up there.
He'll figure it out.
Trouble. The 65.
Boy, he has worked his way up and then gone backwards a couple of times. All right. Oh, got a little help there.
Yeah. I think it might have been Cam Eben that was behind him. He went for a little ride. Back straight at 19th. And James Newell, Skip Brock Jr. trading places for 5th. All the while, Forster, Riceputo, Burkhardt, Roland, your top 4. 7.5 minutes to go.
Boy, this is going to be absolutely fascinating here with Riceputo knowing that Burkhardt's there. I was going to say I thought he might just work with Beans, but he dives to the inside. Beans trying. Ooh, Beans really wide, but hangs on to it. But that should give Riceputo just enough.
Through. Roland's going to watch Burkhardt here. Burkhardt a little wild slide. I don't know how he went in there so hot, got it turned sideways, and just throttled down, and it somehow stuck.
Man, look at the junk they're throwing up. I just love that. Look at that. And yet, that's the thing with Morgan is, we talk about a lot of things, but he's also got just staggeringly good car control. And, right now, I think he's saying the only way I do this is I got to play a little bit of pitch and catch sometimes.
I mean, he should have crashed.
Chuck it. Oh.
He should have crashed twice last race. I mean, we saw that big slide at the S's, and then again at Collier later in the race. Those both were junked race cars in a lot of other hands.
You betcha. And look at Beans. Back through, maybe. Now into Collier.
I can't confirm this, but I did see a message just now that was from earlier in the night that suggests to me that maybe Morgan Burkhardt's pedals aren't working and he's using hand controls for throttle and brake.
No kidding. Well, that could explain some of those, those wild entries into the corners here. Oh, wow. Look at that. Wow, Riceputo. He's got to just stay there. Morgan's going to try and keep that little bit of overlap. He's got it. Ooh, Burkhardt was way wide, and Roland's got a heck of a run here.
Yeah, will he do anything with it, or will he sit behind these two? Looks like it's going to be the former.
Yep. And is Burkhardt going to do a late dive on Riceputo up front?
Not quite. And this is going to be 2 laps to go this time. 5 minutes, about 2.5 minutes per lap. Roland got shuffled a little wide. Here comes Skip Brock Jr.
Yep. That car just walked sideways a little bit. Brock there to pounce. So now Roland gets a little bit of help from James Newell. All right, here we go. Look at Brock working that outside.
This is
this outside.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say exactly. I think what you were going to say is if you can hang to the right here, you can generally make this pass at turn 4.
Yep.
You just got to stick it out. He didn't complete it there, though.
No. And what I was going to say was when you try with that outside pass in 1 or 17, any of those really high-speed corners with lots of bumps, you got to have a lot of faith that that guy inside isn't going to just wipe you off on the exit. Look at all that jousting is done. Top 3 breaking away.
Yeah, this is a top 3 that is going to be hard to reel back into. Forster, Riceputo, and Burkhardt.
Yeah.
This is the top step of the talent here that's available, and they are just putting on a show. Next time by will be the white flag. And Burkhardt is positioning himself really well to snag another victory on the season. gained 22 spots in the point standings since he had missed a couple of rounds. Only has 1 win to his name so far. I know we'll see more than that in the wins column.
Oh, you bet. No question of that. The other guy, Josh Soto, right now, just mired back in 13th. And he came in, remember, tied for the point lead, so that's not the event he wants to have here.
No.
And Trace Hans knocking on the door of a top 10.
Yeah, impressive.
Yep.
And for Soto, you know, what's going to add salt to the wound is that both Beans and Rice Budo have had pretty good nights. Those are the other 2 drivers around him in the standings.
Exactly.
Camden Hibbett is not here this evening, so he'll probably drop down the order a little ways.
And for those of you watching here, Rice Budo got a little wide. So he was able to still roll a good amount of exit speed, but he missed that apex a bit.
Here's what I just noticed is that these cars don't have running lights, tail lights.
Oh yeah, they don't, do they?
Everyone gets a black flag.
Yeah. Oh, just look at this. That group has, Roland et al. Have caught them right back up again. So is this it? We got 2 to go or 1 to go here?
This is going to be 1. There's the white.
There it is. 1 lap to go. And this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars battling for the lead essentially here. Rice Budo thinking about it, opts not to, and I think the reason he didn't was that guy behind him.
Yeah, Burkhardt's going to set this up. He knows the opportunity is later in the lap, so he will wait to pounce. And will Roland or Skip Rock Jr., will they add some fuel to the fire a little earlier than that, perhaps? I don't know if you can win from 4th, so you got to make your move a little sooner than the last corner like you could from 3rd or 2nd.
I agree, yeah. Got to get something done here.
I'll find the camera eventually.
Look at that big protect again by Beans. He knows. And let's see. Oh, and Beans moved over, and Rice Budo said thank you. And now Beans needs to stay put. Beans got a great exit, though, didn't he? Enough to stay there. Now Morgan's going, where do I go? With who?
With who and when?
Yeah, looks like he's going with Beans here. Beans trying to sort of feint over, squeeze Rice Budo a little bit. He's got the nose ahead. Here we go into Cunningham.
He's got it.
Nice, but here comes Burkhardt. So Rice Budo's got to stay put. And Roland, he runs that line all the time. That's not an attempted pass. But here we go. Look at that, side by side. Oh, so close.
Yeah, these 2 don't get this sorted out, they're going to have a lot of trouble. They go side by side through the S's like this, someone's going to lose. You see Rice Budo is out way wide. He's going to settle. He can't because Roland's there to fill that gap. Whoa, Roland!
Oh, Roland, they touch!
Oh, he's going to go for a slide and spin and get collected.
And that's Newell, I think.
Yep, and Newell's got big damage on that left front, so his race is over. And now it's just between these 2, Forster and Burkhardt. It's pandemonium for 3rd place, though.
Yeah, it sure is. Look at that. You got Brock along with Roland. Holy cow. Well, this is Sebring, folks. Rice Budo in there as well. Here we go, last time.
Whoa, contact.
Oh, Burkhardt gave him a massive chrome horn. And Beans. Burkhardt's down. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Who's going to get it? It looks like it'll be Forster, but not by much. It is.
Wow.
47 1,000ths of a second. Holy cow. And Skip Brock earned himself another podium.
Yeah, he did. Skip Brock Jr., double podium night. 18 thousandths between 3rd and 4th.
Good Lord. Yeah, Rice Budo went for the lead, ends up 4th. Jason Burke, what a run up into 5th.
Yeah, nice run there for Jason. Only his 2nd round here in the series. Didn't even have a top 10 at Homestead. He just was kind of in the teens, even though he had moved up the order a ways. Elliot Burton, Gareth Nyland also having good rounds. Celine Roland rebounds from that spin to 8th. But that was a little bit disappointing. And I want to go back and look at that, actually, because he fired it in there. I think he went to try to cover off Rice Budo. And
I think you're right.
So he just tries to shoot this gap, and I think there was a little front to rear contact. Watch the black, pink, and green car. He's going to try to shoot this gap in front of the 0-3 right here, and they just tangle on the braking zone.
Yep.
And that's what sends him around. Nowhere that James Newell could have gone, so he got the worst of that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Bryce Puto actually had a fabulous recovery there to hang on to fourth. I mean, here, look at that. Just couldn't. He grazed him. Look at that.
Wow.
Jason Burke in that melee, getting into the side of Newell.
See what Jason saw out his windshield while this was going on. Oh boy. Dodging bullets
There's
left
Brock.
and right. Yeah.
Boy, Skip Brock, talk about Mr. Opportunity.
Yeah, and we'll watch this all the way down the back straightaway. They were side by side all the way through here, and then they hit Sunset, and this is where this got determined.
Look how wide Brock is. Boy, did he roll some speed. Wow.
Carried it around the outside.
Talk about confidence and respect.
And there's your margin for third.
Wow.
Oh, that's good stuff.
That's extraordinary.
Well, race results. Man, this was a fun one. Wrong results button. This is the one I was looking for. Man, 72 thousandths of a second. Back to Burkhardt, Skip Brock Jr., Nicholas Rice-Budo, Jason Burke. Some new names in this mix.
Yeah. Look at that. Yeah, Burke, Burton, Gareth Nyland, who has been impressive. Celine deserved better than that, but it was kind of his own doing, actually. 53 Hans up into the top 10 with a 9th, and Josh Soto fighting back into 10. So, boy, that's going to, obviously that'll probably be a drop for him, but still a good scrap to try and salvage something.
Yeah, I'd say so. And, the group up at the front, they put on a heck of a show tonight. I think, both times they got a little overzealous, I think, with some of the moves that sort of broke up the crowds. We didn't really see the big pack into turn 17 that we've seen in the past. But Andrew Gilliland, dead last to 14th after a tough race one.
I was just looking at that going, holy cow, what a comeback for him. Well done.
Yeah.
And Hayden Manis had a couple of moments there, he had a slowdown and then a couple of incidents. Kurt Schmidt fighting up into 17th. Higgins, Goetta, and Perez rounding out your top 20.
Yeah, last page here. Take a moment to tick on over, but I think there's a number of drivers that didn't start this race. Dylan Lee, Henry Drury, Preston Pardis did not partake, but Johnny Morrow, Deacon Greenfield, Miles Brown, and Jose de las Casas were all out with crash damage as well. James Newell scored 26th on the scoring, but I have him as 30th in the timing, so I'm not sure if there was a penalty for a cut course or something that got applied at the end. But either way, man, Sebring never fails, does it?
No, it's just it always produces such incredibly close racing. I mean, that margin of victory in that first race, wasn't huge. But it's the biggest I've seen. And then we got our normal stuff here in this second race. Wow.
Well, let's have a chat with Skip Brock Jr., who finished in third tonight in the number 32. Started third because you finished there in race one. You finished there again in race two by only 18 one-thousandths of a second with a pretty awesome last lap sling around the outside of Nicholas Rice-Budo. Things got physical out there at the ends of these things. Skip, take us through your night.
Yeah, the qualifying was a disaster as usual. I never have a good qualifying. And then, I just kind of stayed. I worked my way to the back of the pack after a pretty bad start in the first one and managed to just be in the back of the pack on the last lap, which is all that was required. I think I was like 7th or 8th or something like that. Yeah. And everyone was fighting so hard that I just made it through. I just didn't get wrecked. And so that worked out pretty well. And then on the second race, kind of the same story. I just didn't get wrecked on the last lap, and that put me third. I think that's the first time I've ever beat Nick to the line. I've been in that situation a lot with him, and he usually beats me, and finally I beat him.
Well, I'll tell you what, working through all of that in terms of choosing which lines and when and what to do, as the night said, you chose wisely.
Man, it was hard.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Sweating. I'm covered in sweat right now. But it was really fun. That's one of the most fun races I've had in this league, and that's really saying something.
Well, I'll tell you, your outside move for the podium here in the second race through Sunset, I mean, you were so wide that we were wondering, man, you just arced some speed. That was really cool.
Yeah, I'm proud of that one. Usually I try the over-under there, but since there was a car behind us, I didn't really have that option. So I just carried as much speed as possible. And yeah, that doesn't work often. And he had the opportunity to put me in the tire wall too, and he didn't. So.
Well, and I mean, we were talking about that during the race. When you try those outside moves, you got to have a lot of faith that the guy inside, one, isn't going to make a mistake and get into you, or two, just wipe you onto the wall. And Nick gave you a lot of respect there, and it was a great race.
Yeah,
well done.
I trust all these drivers up in like the top 10. It's so respectful. I mean, it doesn't look respectful, but everyone kind of knows what each other are doing, and it works out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was a great double podium night for you, man. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kip. And moving on now, Beans Forster bringing it home in first place in this second race, and sixth in race one, Beans, but race two, you get it done by 72 1,000ths of a second. It wasn't easy. There was a lot of drama there in the closing laps of that race, but take us through your night. We see the peak heart rate 162. You had to work for it.
Yeah, that was super tough. Normally here at Sebring, I'm used to just trying to sit behind and then do an over-under at turn 17. And that's really only worked out once for me. So I came into this, just had a steam gunning for the front, and I kind of wanted to control the race myself. And I learned a couple things too, like you can play with who you're giving the draft to in order to kind of keep the gap to the cars behind. But it was tough. I didn't think I was going to make it there for a little bit, but that was everyone ran a great race tonight. This was so much fun. Every season we always get a race where it's the best race I've ever had, and I think this one's going to be it for the season.
Well, I mean, it's certainly an early candidate. And I'll tell you what, we had you your onboard as you were starting your run into 17 on that last lap, and you were grinning early, and it was like, okay, you could have been, obviously, leading in there, you could have been second coming out, but it was obvious you were just enjoying the hell out of that race.
Yeah, so much fun. Like whether I win or lose, a lot of times just having these intense fights for 20 minutes straight is exactly what I come here for. And FSS definitely delivered tonight.
Oh, they did, and so did you. You have now joined the ranks of double winner on the season. So well done, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Beans. All right, let's chat with Morgan Burkhardt. Brings it home in second place in race two, fourth in race one. So just one podium on the night, Morgan. But man, we're talking to the other drivers about how physical things got and how wild they could get. But you kind of got knocked around a little bit, had some big saves. But I understand you had some technical problems tonight too.
Yeah, you could say technical problems. I did tonight on hand controls. So that was new for me. It was really, really difficult to kind of get into it. And I did 15 minutes worth of practice before I jumped in, and just kind of lapping around. It's like, okay, I can kind of do this. I mean, I'm doing everything with my hands now, which is really weird and really new. It's a very different driving experience. And I was like, I can kind of do this, right? I'm decently fast. But as soon as you get into a race, it's like, I was using more of my brain power to drive than I thought I was. And then as soon as there's a bunch of cars around, it's like, this is really hard now. But yeah, the racing tonight was incredible from my perspective. I think usually there's a lot of give and take. There's a lot of patience, but for whatever reason tonight, I don't know if it's the night racing or the headlights but it was all take and no give, which is, as a driver, that's awesome. I had a couple mistakes that I made. One was Celine, and then I ended up just driving through Beans in the final corner in the last lap, but I did not mean to do that at all. But it was a lot of fun. The beating and banging, I don't think any of it was like, there were a couple incidents that were like a little borderline, but it's not like they're on purpose. Everybody ended up okay, and I think we put on a pretty good show. I had the most fun I've ever had in one of these races.
Yeah, you put on a fabulous show, and you're right. None of the contact was really egregious, by any standard. So we noticed there were some times where it just looked like you kind of almost had to chuck the car into a corner and then save it. Was that what you were dealing with the hand controls?
Yeah, so it's really difficult to modulate brake application. And then like turn 5 especially, it's such a light dab on the brakes that I would go for a light dab on the brakes and be like, oh, that's 50% pressure. Now I'm rotating way too much. So that's kind of where that pitch and save kind of comes from. So the wheel part was really easy. That wasn't different. So it was really just modulating the throttle and the brake to kind of catch up with that. I had a button for the clutch. So heel toe downshifting was really awkward. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's such a different experience. And if you've got an extra clutch on your wheel, I would 100% recommend it. It is it's so interesting to change your brain and the way you think about driving. Instead of using your feet when you have such fine motor control and the muscle memories there, muscle memory in your fingers, while it's doing so many other things, I really think it hopefully it'll make me faster because my brain was overloaded tonight, and I think that's a good thing.
Well, and it still resulted in...
We lost you there for a second, Greg. You're back.
That save you had in turn 15 in Jean de Bienne in that first race was spectacular. You know, when you hit that curve, you were so sideways, and it looked like it didn't even cost you exit speed.
Yeah, it was, you know, in the car. Oh God.
Yeah.
But it didn't. I think it didn't cost me too much exit speed because that corner is a transient maneuver anyways. So the speed through that corner doesn't really matter because you're already slowing down. Oh God, that is way bigger than it felt like. But the weird thing about that is when you get the car that sideways, your hands are one's depressing the clutch for throttle, so it's like, oh, my hand slipped off the throttle pedal. So it, you know, usually when you're in a slide like that, you can just kind of keep it matted and steer. But when your hands on the throttle and you're starting to get really crossed up with your hands and they slip off the throttle pedal, suddenly the car points and goes a completely different direction, whether you're not really expecting it to. So you really have to think a lot about it. But I think I got away with that one. I got really lucky with that.
Yeah, that was pretty spectacular. I'd love to see the onboard from Ray Sputo of that. That had to be eye-opening from his perspective. Always great, Morgan, to watch your racing, especially in this scenario where you were a little bit challenged there. Let's watch it from Nicholas's viewpoint here.
Just too much curve on the inside, and then still managed to hit the apex. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Alrighty then.
Well done, man.
Much appreciated, guys.
Thanks.
We're going to see you at Willow next weekend or next Tuesday.
Actually, no. Cool. I mean, it's nice that it's weird to say this, but it's nice that I'm missing one. I've been treated that I'm going to be flying to Spain on Monday next week to instruct at one of the GT4 Winter Series events at Valencia. So Circuit Ricardo Tormo. So I'm really excited for that, but I'll hopefully be back for the week after.
Sounds good, and yeah, enjoy that trip. That's a hell of a track.
I will.
And a great experience. Well done, man.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Morgan.
Thank you.
And Nicholas Rice-Sputo came in tied for the points lead, and fourth in race 2, but a win in race 1. You're going to be the first driver to 3 wins this season, so tonight was a good night for you.
Yeah, overall a lot of fun. Sebring always makes for some great racing. So, especially in the new SMX car, it drafts incredibly well, so it keeps everyone really close.
And in that first race, you had yourself a really good scrap, and it looked to me, and now we find out that Morgan was driving, throttle and brake with his hands and everything, but in that first race, it looked to me like you guys started to ease away a little bit, and then I thought maybe he was pulling the old trick of backing you up into Celine and the pack behind. What was your take?
Yeah, once he starts to miss shifts in air quotes, that's when I know what he's trying to do. So that's when I sort of went for the move, but he held it really well. But I ended up making it work in the end. So
yeah, you did, and just really cool to see your start to the season here. I mentioned that it looks like you found that right balance point between aggression and tempering it and knowing being more confident as to when you should go and when you should lay back, and it's paid off. 3 wins,
Yeah, I'm going for it this season. So I've sat back and sat on some leads in some previous seasons, and I'm just going for the win every time now. So.
Well, and we love you for it because it's sure fun to watch you run. How about that moment when in that first race when Morgan got completely sideways in front of you over in Jean de Bienne?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I was like, I wasn't sure what was gonna happen, but I wasn't gonna lift.
Yeah, it was mega. It almost looked like he had a chance to stuff it down the inside, but he got it controlled. Yeah. Oh man,
That's
great
incredible.
stuff.
I can't believe Morgan was driving with hand paddles. He told me that, and I was like, didn't you wrap it around the outside of one against me with using the paddles on your steering wheel for throttle, which is crazy.
Yeah, it absolutely is, man. But tell you what, great job and super results here early in the season. You're looking strong, man.
Well, it's good to have you back, Greg. I haven't seen you in a while. Where have you been?
I was dealing with a couple little medical things, but
okay.
now back and feeling great. So
well, glad you're back.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you guys for the best.
Thanks, Nicholas.
See ya.
Well, Greg, that wraps things up here from Sebring. What a show. Nighttime is the right time indeed, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I love that we got the one in, sort of dusk, and then we got the second one in under the lights and in, which are few here. So a lot of darkness, and I love night racing. And it really showed. And I got to correct something. I said our next event was going to be Willow Springs. It's not. It's Indianapolis Motor Speedway on the road course, which I think is a first for this league. And then Willow Springs the next Tuesday. So, but Indy coming up, man, that's going to be awesome.
I'm one of the few that really likes the Indianapolis road course. I know it's not exactly a fan favorite from the drivers, but I like it there. I think it puts on some really good racing. Stoked to head to the racing capital of the world, or so they call it. I know that's been a controversial topic on the internet as of late in regards to some of the videos that Toyota GR Cup put out about Keanu Reeves and Cody Jones from Dude Perfect participating in that series last year. But Greg, great night here at Sebring, and looking forward to heading up to the Midwest again next week.
Absolutely, Indianapolis. And I'm with you. I enjoy that track because it's got a lot of nuance to it. There are things that you've got to really have figured out to be quick around there, and I think it's great. So looking forward to it. Once again, big thanks to Full Send Sims, to Sabelt. So happy to have them on board with us as a sponsor. Of course, Farah, remember, they're running at Homestead this coming weekend. Don't want to miss that if you can get out there. Final Turn Motorsports, 3P Logistics, and Wine Country Motorsports. Big thanks to all of them. Big thanks to you, Kyle. As always, folks, I'm Greg Creamer. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next Tuesday night from Indy Brickyard. Can't wait.